The following is the views of MC and Jester. If you don't like our views, don't listen to our podcast.
Welcome to Me Podcast. You listen with Jester and MC.
All right. Welcome to Me Podcast. You listen. I also notice that I say that a lot before we start. I always say, all right. I say, all right. That's my catchphrase. All right.
So you're going to sell a shirt that says all right.
It just says all right. Jester says all right. So Me Podcast, you listen here, and it's Jester here with MC. And so we are discussing movie reviews. And one of the things that we talked about, and we've been talking about for the last 45 minutes on a pre-show, is we discussed that the movies that we came out, we haven't seen a movie review. We said we haven't done a movie review since Halloween.
Yes.
Whatever that Halloween movie was.
We should introduce ourselves. I'm MC. You are Jester, and
if you subscribe, you should know who we are. We're only talking to true fans here. So if you don't subscribe,
yes, and
you don't deserve it.
Subscribe because we hit the subscribe button because we need the subscriptions, and otherwise we'll do one of the commercials that occasionally a whole episode will just be 30 minutes of telling you that you need to subscribe.
Well, sooner or later, iTunes is going to kick us off. They'll be like, you guys are talking to no one. Although we appreciate those people. We have about 80 downloads of our show already, and we've been doing this. You said this is our 10th episode. So
actually, yeah.
So we have 80 downloads. So people who are downloading, you should subscribe because those.
Or no, wait, no. I think by the time this airs, this might be our 12th episode. I think this should be the 12th episode, I believe, by the time this one airs.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Either way, we're just looking for people to like us because we obviously need you to like us. And you can like us on
subscribe.
Facebook.
If you're listening, you could subscribe. Just hit the button. That way you don't miss any of our shows. That's one good reason to subscribe. We're hitting all type of platforms and stuff too, like YouTube as well. And we're on, originate on Spreaker and now on iTunes. So yeah, definitely subscribe. Give us the opportunity to come into your phone or wherever you're home or wherever you listen to us, and that way you don't miss an episode when it drops.
Yeah, we're also on SoundCloud, and so it shows up on there too. I don't have SoundCloud, but that's on there as well.
Yeah, but so we want to jump into this too. We got different varying opinions, I should say, about this movie. But this is the second of the Creed franchise, which is an extension of the Rocky franchise, and we both wanted to see this film. You recently seen it, so we can discuss it, and I had seen it a couple weeks back as we're recording this. So basically, we're gonna finally give our thoughts on this and whether it's a must see or not. And yeah.
Well, definitely, I will give it a must see. I definitely think it's a must see if you like Rocky movies and you're interested in Rocky storylines and all that. I definitely think this movie's a must see. But like we discussed earlier, there is one thing that we always disagree on. I like my movies to be somewhat not so cheesy. You like the movies. You like them because they're movies. So you review movies as a movie. I review it as though, could this really happen? And so that's where we differ on opinions, as well as the cameos that show up in this movie, which was cool. I think that was cool that they brought back people. But I'll let you go ahead and start the movie itself review, since you're kind of more of the critic. And I just throw in my 2 cents about things I don't like, because I'm a very negative person, I guess. So I say negative things about this movie, and then I follow.
Well, yeah, you're a comedian, so you have you have a skewed view of the world. So you have to look at it through a lens of a comedian. And
yeah, the lens.
Unfortunately, will probably have that comedian edge to whatever you're looking at. So, and I can respect that. That's and you're right. I would look at it more, I think, from a thing, like, because we've discussed this previously too. You look at this movie from a thing of like, is this believable? Are these scenarios that could or should have happened? And I'll just gonna say it. This movie was set up from the start from Rocky IV, so this is eventually, when Creed was launched, this was a built-in story to happen. And one of the few dislikes I kind of had of the film would be that they kind of had to rush this film from start to about the middle of the film, where they kind of get this storyline, really underway between the two, opposing characters. They had to rush him in winning the championship, because at the end of the first Creed, and I love that movie, I'll say it right now, from start to finish, Creed 1 was a great film. I thought that was masterfully written and thoroughly one of the best Rocky movies, and that's saying a lot because most of them I enjoyed. I mean, save for maybe Rocky V being the weakest of the franchise. I thought Creed really was a well done film. So
you really didn't like Rocky V? I thought Rocky V was pretty good. I mean, I like the soundtrack was definitely a '90s soundtrack, but you didn't think Tommy Gunn and that whole. I thought
Don King ripoff, kind of the sleazy promoter. I mean, I'd have to rewatch it again, but I've seen a little bit of the end of the film again to watch his, some of the stuff that he had in there, and it was.
I thought the part that was
they
weird
didn't do a Rocky after it for a long time till 2006. So I mean,
they made it. And why did Rocky all of a sudden become like belligerently unintelligent when he was talking in Rocky V? That's probably the one thing that bothered me the most. All of a sudden,
they gave him brain damage, I think.
Yeah, he's like antlers. It's like that. He kept saying that. The only part that sticks out of my movies when he's like, "There's a Santa Claus on the roof. He got antlers." And so it's like, man, why'd you make Rocky all of a sudden? He just sounds like he's got like no brain cells left in his head at all.
I think in one of the things with V is they brought back one of the original co-writers with Sylvester. One of the thing about Sylvester Stallone is I think he's written or co-written every one of these films, so his hands have been heavily involved in the character. So he's kind of in tune with a lot of the lineage. And this franchise has killed off a lot of characters, which is realistic. I mean, in the sense of, if you're looking realism, these characters have died and moved on, and for whatever reasons they wanted to kill the characters. It started with, I think, with Mickey, and then it went down the line. So, but this very much being a legacy film, this movie, had a built-in storyline. It starts off with the Dragos, Ivan and his son Victor, who were introduced to living kind of, I don't know if it was Croatia or in the outskirts of Russia. They were basically, the storyline is Ivan Drago was a national disgrace. Soviet Union was still around, and it became Russia, but it didn't matter. He was a disgrace to his country. He was basically ostracized, and having a son, and which he's raised, saying that this is why your mother left, because if we show weakness, all that type of stuff. So it's alluding to showing that his mother was, Bridget Nielsen, and she seemingly died, is what I thought at the beginning, but as we'll find out later.
See, I didn't get that part. I thought he was saying that she left us because of the whole debacle that happened in Rocky IV. Is what I kept thinking about.
I mean, he never really showed a kid. Never showed a kid. You don't know how long she was with him. He was a physical specimen. So
what a heartless bitch though. Just leaving him after one fight. He loses one fight and that's it. We're over. I mean, come on, seriously. That's what kind of wife? What kind of wife just like, you know what? You suck. This fight you're supposed to win. You suck. We're out of here. Right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, and I didn't really think about that much because I didn't get the Russian redemption type of. I wasn't invested in that. I guess enough to see it later. I just assumed, well, he was making an illusion like your mom died because of this situation, so to speak. But as you find out later, you'll find out. But this is very much a Drago film as it is a Creed film, in my opinion. They start off with the Dragos. And as we'll discuss near the end, there's a theme throughout this film that we'll get to at the end. That as the Dragos were watching this journey, they have to kind of rush the Creed storyline to get to the eventual meeting, which means the beginning. Creed is facing Duke's boy. Duke is the son of Little Duke, is the son of Tony Burton's character, the original Duke, who actually real life passed away in February of 2016. So he's the son of Duke, who wouldn't train him in the first Creed, even though his dad trained Apollo Creed for his entire career. So his boy, the guy who took his Mustang in that gym fight, this bout at the beginning of Creed 2 is for his Mustang again and the world champ or the heavyweight championship. So, they kind of rush through it. When you
go through the Duke character, you're talking about the guy that plays the trainer now that trained him for the first fight. That guy that was in the movie Remember the Titans, right? That's who you're talking about?
Are you talking about Tony Burton's character, the original Duke?
Well, the original Duke was the bald-headed guy that was in Rocky IV when he's like, throw in the towel. That guy?
Exactly. Yeah, that's Tony Burton, yeah.
So his son is the one that's now the trainer of the gym where Apollo Creed's face is on the window, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Because he's his dad, who's died in this storyline, obviously, too. He couldn't bring back Tony Burton.
They didn't really paint that picture very well. I kind of had a hard time following that. I didn't know if that was his son or if that was just one of his partners or whatever.
No, until I watched it with subtitles, I didn't even realize. And when I seen that it said Little Duke, then I said, "Oh, okay." But I didn't even realize that until a friend was talking about in this movie. Being this guy training him, and talking about the legacy and all that type of stuff. That was him, and I went back. Okay, yeah, that makes a little more sense. He didn't really do anything for me, both in that film and that. They kind of portrayed him as, and I think maybe the thing was, it was a promise not to train any son of Creed from his, dad or something. They don't really delve a whole lot of things in the underlying issues of what happened in there in that situation. I mean, Rocky, obviously, the aftermath of how Rocky feels not throwing in the towel, that's alluded to and that's discussed. Both in the original Creed and in this one, there's a theme with that. But and to be honest with you, I don't really remember any scenes of confrontation between Rocky and Marianne Creed, the adoptive mother, and would have been his stepmom, so to speak, of Adonis Creed. There was no actual one-on-one interaction, so they never really got into the tension of that. But you would imagine that from Rocky saying he hadn't spoke to her, in that many years, the guilt was probably there for the character, and that was alluded to.
Okay, so you say that, but then she calls him, so she has his cell phone or whatever. So come on.
So yeah, I mean, you have to imagine, for everything she's doing for her son, or he's doing for his son, actually making him a credible fighter, that maybe somewhere along the line that kind of got repaired, I guess, that's alluded to. But, the film is about setting up, this fight. So going into this film, if you've watched any of the trailers, and this film is set up from the Drago Creed, basically legacies fighting each other, under the premise of, obviously, the Dragos killed, Ivan killed, Apollo. So this movie is based off of that storyline. It's a built-in storyline. It's something that you knew, it's money to happen. They bring back Dolph Lundgren, who's training his son. So I thought the movie was a little rushed to get to this point. I guess there was really no other way to do it outside of having a longer film. But that kind of hurt it for me in the beginning. But I think once you get to the storyline, you have this kind of sleazy promoter watching these underground fights between, which has Ivan training his son Victor, who's just a monster. He's played by the Big Nasty.
Which we established earlier that it was going to be another guy from UFC Northcutt, which I think looks more like the Ivan Drago character but there was something to do with the size. They wanted a bigger guy, and this guy's definitely on the bigger side. He's a huge guy, and he's actually a former boxer, according to his bio. So probably it was a lot easier to train him